Okay, SPLs, Scholar Practitioner Leaders, Data Scientists, welcome to our last lecture for our week two. And I want to piggyback on our last lecture in lecture 3 of 4 for our 2025 Fall Statistics for Data Science, MSDS 531, A01 for our first by term. Okay, now the last item that I spoke on as we close out the previous lecture was all about defining the characteristics of normal distribution, which we already know from my previous lecture that is the primary distribution that we look for in statistics as well as being data scientists. Is it normal distribution or is it not? So you'll see that that's really one of the main ones that we're when looking at data, is it showing normal distribution, right? Okay, so I just want to piggyback on that, guys, because as we now go into our assignments for this week two, I want to make sure, guys, again, from those 6 objectives, along with my lecture, that you guys are truly taking great notes. Now, you're going to have this oral lecture for week two, along with the assignments, okay? Now, but before we go into the assignments, there are a couple of things in the book, that we're going to have to make sure that you guys go over to go inside with those overall objectives, those 6 objectives, along with my oral lecture. Now, in the book, we're going to be looking at 2 chapters this week for chapters 1 and chapter 2. Okay, so in our practical statistics for data scientists, exploratory data analysis, in chapter 1, here are the 3 items. The first item is exploring binary and categorical data. Okay. The second item that you're going to be reading and looking at in chapter 1 is correlation. And then thirdly, it's going to be exploring 2 or more variables. Now, make sure you take good notes, guys, because in our assignments this week, in which I'm sure you guys already know what they are, it's going to be in the assignments. Okay. And then the second part in chapter 2, there are 6 areas that you're going to have to really focus on from our book, okay? The practical statistics for data scientists, data and sampling distributions. The first area of 6 is random sampling and sample bias, okay? The second area is going to be selection bias. Thirdly, 3 of 6, you're going to be looking at sample distribution of a statistic, okay, of a simple statistic. So that's going to be interesting, guys. You're going to really appreciate that. And then the fourth item, as I previously mentioned in our previous lecture, remember I had mentioned about that you guys are really going to enjoy what bootstrapping is all about. Well, here it is in chapter 2. You're going to understand what bootstrap truly is. So take great notes. There's my emphasis again, guys. Okay. And then fifthly of this chapter 2, you're going to be looking at confidence intervals. And then last but not least, 6 of 6, you're going to be looking at the therefore mentioned normal distribution. Okay. So understand normal distribution, and you're going to see why it is our number one thing that we look at in regard to doing our extrapolation of data. Looking at the distribution types, typically we ask ourselves, hey, is this normal distribution or not from our data extrapolations? And from there, we'll know which direction to go. And you'll understand more where I'm coming from once you read chapter 2 and take great notes on that, okay? And then also, we have our modern statistics with an R link there for you guys, just in case you need to do a deep dive beyond the section that I'm giving you. But I do want you to look at section 5, dealing with messy data. Okay. So this is a good segue, guys, into understanding, and many of you data scientists already know, like you see messy data every day because you guys are actually in the trenches already with your respective organizations. And even if you're not, like I mentioned last week, here's a good opportunity, guys, to understand how we go about taking steps to analyze messy data and how do we go about doing it. This is a good segue into understanding how we as data scientists, you as data scientists, deal with messy data. And that's going to be in the modern statistics with an R link. Click it, go to section 5, and you'll see it. Okay. And then also, as always, I'm going to always put the supplemental links there for you if you want to get some supplemental readings on these areas. Same thing with the R tutorial if you need to get more clarity on using our R tutorial tool. Okay. Alrighty. So now let's get to the juicy part, our assignments here in our lecture 4 for this week 2. And our 2 assignments are, I'm sure you already know, we have 2 quizzes this week. Okay. Our first quiz 1 that I'm pulling up now is all about describing data with graphs. Now, this is really quiz 1, just so you guys know, I'm sure you already thought about it. If it's talking about describing data with graphs, hey, didn't we go over that last week in week 1? Yes, we did. So this is really predicated on week 1 and also here in week 2 as well, because as I mentioned, all of our weeks carry over. So, but primarily this quiz 1 is piggybacking off of week 1. So you guys are really going to enjoy that. Now, each quiz is worth 35 points. So always understand, hey guys, by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, get those quizzes done, okay? Or Eastern Daylight Time, okay? Get the quizzes done, get them done, okay? Period. Don't waste time, okay? Make sure you got all your notes so when you're ready for the quizzes, it's open book, open notes. If you want to use your book, that's fine, but you spend more time doing it that way. If you take great notes on each section, each area from our oral lecture, from the videos that I give you, and also the book, those 3 areas, you're set up to win. As I've always been really articulating to you guys, always take notes in those 3 areas. So that way you don't have to rely on the book when it's time to do exams, okay, and or quizzes, okay? So that's quiz number 1, describing data with graphs, and again, multiple choice, and you're gonna have fill in the blanks. And that's pretty much it, okay? Now, our quiz number 2 is the exact same format, multiple choice and fill in the blank. It's going to be 10 of each. It's only going to be 20 questions per quiz. But the second quiz, quiz number 2, is all about confidence intervals and normal distribution introduction. Hey, Dr. Mark, aren't we talking about that this week? Yes, we are, guys. We're talking about that this week. Quiz number 2 is a reflection of week number 2. You see how I lined that all up for you guys? I'm always setting you guys up to win. Again, if you listen to my directions, you will get the grade that you are aspiring for in our time together. But the key is, as I mentioned last week, it's all about following directions and listening to me, yours truly, taking those great notes, okay? And you'll be just fine. So, confidence intervals and normal distribution introduction here for your second quiz in our week 2 will be phenomenal, guys. And you will be really, really shocked how granular both of those quizzes are. How everything is literally talking about everything that we discussed, everything that I mentioned to you, as far as the module objectives for each week, and also my deliverables that I'm expecting you to learn. You remember there's always 2 things that I'm expecting out of you. Number 1, to make sure you comprehend the module objectives for their respective week, and my deliverables, which piggybacks from our overview. So my deliverables always comes from the overview and then your overall expectations on what the chapter is expecting out of you. The module objectives come from that respective week. So always remember, guys, if you do well with your module objectives for that week, those 6 or 5 or 7 or 8 items that I'll articulate with you, and understand the overview of what I'm talking about, which is predicated to the module deliverables, that objective, you will be successful. And you take good notes on those two areas, making sure you have each one of those areas checked off, meaning the overview, each sentence checked off, because that's going to be where your deliverables from me that I'm expecting, that you understood my overview, right? Thus, the weekly, my expectations of you in regard to my deliverables, okay? Your weekly deliverables. It's always going to be derived from the objective. Secondly, your week's module objectives. Those are always going to be derived from the book, and that's what I expect you to make sure that you understand each of those objectives, right? There's typically 6 to 8 of those weekly. So number one, the overview is going to be equate to the deliverables from Dr. Mark, making sure I understand each line item in the sentences, which equates to the deliverables that I'm expecting that you guys to make sure you have down to a science, and the books or the chapters weeks for that week, those module objectives, those 6 or 8 items. So each of those is typically about 6 to 8 that I'm expecting. So it's a total of about 16 items per week, minimum, that I'm expecting out of you guys, okay? Module objectives and the overall, my deliverables that I expect from you, which comes from the overview, okay? And that's it, guys. So if you do those things every week, along with taking great notes, bingo, there it is. Those are the two areas, the module objectives and the deliverables, along with taking great notes, that you guys will be successful. And that's another, and then also wrapping it all up when you do your assignments in a nice scholarly format using that template that I provided for you on the announcement board. You will do very well, or you will continue, because I'm going to give you feedback this week on your assignments, okay, guys? You will continue to do well in this course, okay? So that's where we are for this week 2, guys. I am looking so um, I'm so very excited now to have some data, right? That data being your week 1 assignments, to really go back and grade your assignments and look at your data to see the overall distribution of our course, our class. So I'm looking forward to me to doing my deductive reasoning and my extrapolation of you guys' data. So now I have data to look at and grade your assignments. So, and based on my preliminary sample size, and when I looked at each of the various samples, the 3 assignments that we have, I look at probably about 10 to 15 per assignment. Everybody's really on point. And like I said, guys, you guys are right where you need to be at. And I just don't want no one to let up off the paddle. Stay on the paddle, keep your feet on the gas pedal, because you will overall get the grade that you are looking for during our time together, okay? Now, time to think of any other housekeeping items. Again, just remember, any APA formatting that you do is always well received, but nothing is mandatory. But if you want to really get the best benefit out of our time together, it's always advantageous to put your content in some type of structured format that makes it easy on my eyes, okay? However, whatever works best for you is fine. If it's not already presented in the content for the assignment that it needs to be scholarly formatted, then you don't have to do it, okay? So if it's not mandatory, but it is highly recommended, as I keep saying, so feel free to just present your work however you want to present it, because again, it's not mandatory at all, but it is highly recommended in usage of our APA scholarly paper template that I provided to you guys on the announcement board to make things easy for you. Again, because I just want you to be successful, okay? And preliminary looking at each of you guys' assignments, it looks like everybody is right where you need to be at. And so, is if anything else that I need to present to my data scientists while I have you guys' attention? Um, Anything else? No. Oh, just do great on your assignments. Have a wonderful Labor Day because today is officially Labor Day. Have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day and take the time out to look at this video, and I hope you get a lot out of this lecture. Have a wonderful week, and I'm here if you need me via email or text. Take care or phone call.